Geiman here, Pressure Wash Help, king of pressure washing. And today we have, I am ready, Jason. I hope you all can hear me. We got Donovan that's going to put his ugly mug right here. And so we are in Raleigh, North Carolina right now. I'm here with, who am I here with?
Andrew and Savannah.
Savannah, where are you from?
Florida, Central Florida.
And you're going to do $220,000 in Florida. I mean, I know there's a guy on here that says that there's no money to be made in Florida. Is that true?
That's true. That he's on here.
That he's on here. You're right. And so we're just going to have some conversation here. One of the things that we're going to talk about is getting to the next level. And for these guys is, you know, they're going to do 220 in pressure washing. Probably, what's your goal in Christmas lights?
We're shooting for 20, 25.
50,000 in Christmas lights. That's awesome. Yeah. Again, when we make goals, guys, we don't make little goals. We got to make big goals. And that's with you guys even on the other side here of, you got to make big goals. You know, I'd rather you shoot for 50,000 and come up at 30,000 and be short than do 20,000 and then you come up at 20,000. So, but that's awesome. But one of the things that we want to hit on too is the whole thing of, we're going to hit on a couple things because Savannah over here, she loves to do some Facebook stuff and talk about how they've kind of gotten business and that. Andrew's big on networking, so we're going to hit on that. And then we're going to hit on employees, getting to the next level, hiring our first employees. What are some things that we need to look at doing? What are some things that, you know, is it scary to hire employees? Is it scary to hire employees?
Yes.
So, Savannah, let's start with you first, because you're way better looking than Andrew is anyway. So, and that's what more people are going to want to see you anyway. So, Savannah, what is it like to hit $220,000 in year 2 of pressure washing after COVID? I probably shouldn't say that too loud because you two might get mad at me. After that, of how has that changed your all's life, as in family, your relationship with Andrew, and all of those awesome things?
It's been amazing. The relationship gets testy sometimes working together, but overall it's been really good. I mean, we've been able to take our kids, and we don't do anything, you know, over the top extravagant with them, but what we can do with them now is more than we've ever been able to offer before, because we were just cuffed with time spent at our other jobs, strapped for money. We were living paycheck to paycheck is what, you know, the phrase I've heard before. And so we were able to kind of...
You were living in a camper, right?
We were living in a camper. It was horrible. But we were able to kind of just break that cycle and just be able to... I can go grocery shopping now and not be like stressed out. I still have that mindset of, okay, this brand's cheaper than that one, I'm going to get this one. But when I get to the checkout line, I know that I'm going to be able to buy it, which, you know, that's not a big deal to a lot of people, but to us, coming from where we came from, it's huge, and it's really been life-changing, and we've been able to give back to our community because we've been blessed in that way.
And how do you give back to your community? What are some ways that you actually give back?
So we have Haines City, they have a CRA, and it's a community revitalization program. So the CRA, they're the ones that bring in new businesses into town. They're the ones that help bring in growth to your communities. But another way they do that is by making these lower income areas more friendly, more appealing, adding curb appeal, but also it just raises kind of the mentality. It's really uplifting for someone who can't even afford to buy hot lunches for their kids at school, or even stack lunches for the kids at school, to come home to a house that is painted and washed and they didn't even have to pay for it. It makes a world of a difference. And for us, that's been one of the biggest blessings, to be able to give back and do that.
And how many houses a month are you able to wash or do on that for that community service?
So the first month they do 10 houses. So we did 10 houses the first month, and then 2 houses every month after.
And how does that make you all feel, even inside by being able to help people that aren't as privileged to be able to have a nice clean house sometimes.
I don't know if it's so much how it makes me feel as like in a feel good, like I'm proud of myself feeling. It's more of the emotions I get when I actually talk to these people and hear their story. Because sometimes I'll go with the mindset of, okay, we got another free wash today. I don't know why I signed up for this, blah, 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 blah. Because, we can be using that time to be out there making money on a wash. But then I'll get one-on-one with these customers, and before I know it, I'm crying, and I don't even know why. Like, I'm not emotionally connected to them. I don't know them, but then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, this is why I'm here, and this is why we're doing this, and this is why it's important that we do continue to do it.
One thing I'm going to hit on before we go, and while I'm just thinking about it, because you are a husband-wife thing, and I know sometimes this can be hard to separate home life versus work life, and I know you guys work a lot together. What are some things that you've done to help either separate that of the home life versus work life? And I understand, as being an entrepreneur, a lot of times our brain is just always on entrepreneur. Well, we can do this, this, and this. And what are you taking any time, maybe once a month, once a week, of just like, all right, we're going to go out to dinner and we're not going to talk about business?
We try. We have intentions with it. It's not always there, because sometimes I'll be like, okay, I need to take a picture of this so I can have a post for like next week or something, So my mind doesn't shut off, but we all train martial arts together. We train jiu-jitsu. So that 1 hour a evening does force us to shut off our minds in regards to business and focus on something else. But then we'll be on the way home and we're talking about work again. So we're still trying to find that balance, and we have to make intentional time to spend with each other and with the kids. So that's something, that's a downfall I have, because I am in control of my time now, and sometimes I do err and let my business time consume me when it shouldn't, when I have the power to just be like, okay, no, today I'm off, today I'm not answering the phone, I'm just gonna draw that line and we're just gonna go spend the day with the kids.
Yeah, because there's been times where we overbook ourselves, stretch ourselves too thin, and at the end of the day, I'm like, who's in charge here? This is our company. It's up to us to make that time to set aside for us or for our kids or for an event that we want to go to. There's no excuse if you miss something when you own the business. You know what I mean? It's up to you to plan around that.
So, Andrew, you were working a $45,000 job pretty much when you started this pressure. Well, actually, you got laid off of a $44,000 job, $45,000, and you were gone all the time. What has that helped you by being home a lot more and being around the kids and help with the kids and being able to pick the kids up from school or drop them off? What are some things that you've been able to do by owning your own pressure washing
It's
business?
weird to say, but it's like it flipped it on its head. I work less and have more time and make more money by being our own company. We're able to do things with our kids or together. I mean, I've said this before to you, but like there's times, the last year I worked that other job, I missed every kid's birthday. I missed my wife's birthday. I was going on my birthday. We missed every holiday except for Christmas that year. I wasn't even in the same state as my family. Just trying to make enough money to get by.
And so that's tough, obviously, and now that you're able to do that, what are some things that you've been able to do since you've started your pressure washing business?
It's a long list. I mean, we were on track to try and get debt free before we started our business, and that was like a 12-year journey. I mean, it just never, you'd get a little ahead and something would come up, even with the plan, and we just never got where we wanted to be. Within a year, we got debt free. We bought ourselves a new pickup truck a couple months ago that's for the business, and I mean, there's just so many things. Just time alone, like we were talking earlier about taking little vacations. We used to have a limit for our Christmas of a few $100 to cover for the whole family, and that was the best we could do for our kids and for each other. Half the time, I remember we couldn't even buy each other presents. We'd buy our kids Christmas and we would wait for our tax return to get something for each other. That's how tight it was. Now, our first year in our business, we went, got an Airbnb. We went and had our own Christmas in someone else's house and spent 3-4 days up there. Went and saw some family. Went and did some tourist stuff in Florida, you know what I mean? And this year, our goal, we're gonna try and go to New Orleans for Christmas with our kids, get our Airbnb. We're flying our uncle out. That stuff in the past, we were like, who's gonna pay for his ticket? Now it's not even a question. It's just opened up so much freedom for us.
So that is amazing. That is one of the things that I love about their story. And, you know, I'm always about the story at the end of the day because, you know, I preach that there's time freedom, there's financial freedom, there's, you know, freedom of not somebody telling you what to do. You know, you set your own schedule, you do your own things, you do that kind of stuff. And, you know, and then you're making decent money, really good money. And, you know, we're here in Raleigh because they come to the Christmas light class because they're going to install Christmas lights. And, you know, and he's networking. And I'm going to hit on that a little bit. So I'm hearing that Savannah says that you love to do networking. And so networking is an amazing thing that will help you grow your business. And even down here, you were networking with me kind of what can I do for my CPA or that kind of stuff. And, you know, I was giving you that advice of what you need to do. And I'm giving you my CPA so that way I can make sure that you're able to be financial free and do that kind of things. But what other ways in networking do you do to try to grow your business or get more business so that you can keep being successful?
Well, just with you, for instance, meeting you in person and doing these trainings that we've done, going to the huge conventions, stuff like that, that's networking. That's helped our business tremendously to make me and her better leaders, how to grow our business. And then just inside of the business aspect, a lot of the stuff we like to get involved in, I talk a lot about, people probably get tired of hearing, but I love going to like our city functions where I live, getting involved with our Chamber of Commerce, and I mean, it's a ticket to business owners in your own city, and we didn't even pay to join. I watched their property and got a 2-year membership, and it's returned tenfold. I mean, we're getting our foot in the door with a couple different cities now, and they have contracts coming up that we're going to bid on, and those contracts are for $100,000 a year. And how else would you ever get access to that other than by meeting people and introducing yourself and just getting out of your comfort zone? That's something that I struggled with when we started our business, was just stepping out of that place of comfort, and you're not going to grow if you don't. You know what I mean? I hated talking in front of people or doing a live and stuff like that. Was just terrifying. And now here we are, we're doing this again. But like, if you don't sharpen that knife, what happens to it?
It gets dull.
Exactly. So it's just something that I strive to get better at. My wife reads books like no other before we started our business, but like I didn't pick up a book unless it was a sports section or something.
That had lots of pictures.
Yeah. But, I mean, I'll admit I don't read them all. I read some books, but I've been diving into audiobooks. And if you're out washing, guys, and you're not making yourself better while you're doing it, instead of stuck in your own mind worrying about stress, put an audiobook on and get some good advice in your mind. That there's just so many different ways to better yourself.
So talking about that, what are some of your favorite books for somebody that might be struggling with the same things?
One off the top of my head that was recommended to us by a client of ours. This is from a guy that's worth millions of dollars. His was, I can't remember the name of it, the Jim Collins book. Built to Last.
Yes.
Built to Last by Jim Collins. And then obviously the ones a lot of us know, Pumpkin Plan. I went through that, just finished the E-Myth, learned a lot. I was a Jocko fan before all this anyway, just through what our interests are. But it took me a couple years, but I finally just went through Dichotomy of Leadership and then Extreme Ownership. And a lot of it's very military based, but there's wealth of knowledge in there to take ownership of, it's no one's fault but your own, you know?
And
What,
mine-
you mean it's not nobody's fault?
It's your own.
You know, and one of the books that I loved, and I actually read it before we started our own business. It's Christy Wright. She's part of the Dave Ramsey group. She's one of his business coaches there, and it's Business Boutique. And I like her approach because it's coming from a feminine and female approach, and she takes into consideration all the stresses we have as mothers and wives, because I know there are a lot of you on here that are girlfriends and wives of people, of the guys in this industry, and it's really hard to find that kind of support because there's not a lot for us out there in regards to it. And that book just really kind of it changed my mindset on, just because I'm a girl doesn't mean my price has to be lower. It doesn't mean I'm not as strong. It doesn't mean I can't bring the same thing to the table. But in some cases, it turns out we have more to offer, and we can bring more to the table and add value to our significant other's business that they don't have. And I'm not saying that I'm not trying to downgrade men or at all, but we do, because we have a different mind. We just have a special je ne sais quoi about us that we have, and we can bring that to our businesses and use it to grow. And yeah, Business Boutique, I highly recommend reading that.
I mean, most women are going to be able to sell higher than men. It's just a fact. We're down, like I said, we're down here in Donovan's shop. Lauren is Donovan's wife, and she does all the Christmas light bidding, you know. And so we were doing Donovan was kind of going through some of the Christmas light pictures of his business, and I'm looking at this and I'm like, this isn't Donovan doing these quotes and doing this stuff. Yes, he's saying it, but this isn't Donovan. This is Lauren doing it. And so I had to go ask Lauren, and she's like, yeah, I quote everything, and that's the reason why I love columns and I love pillars and that kind of stuff. And Donovan's like, I hate them, but you know, and so, but that was pretty neat because, you know, she is getting those high dollar tickets, and she is getting, you know, their average ticket down here is over $2,000 just in Christmas lights alone. So, you know, that's how they're able to get that. And a lot of times I've found that female will get higher tickets. They will, whether it's pressure washing, Christmas lights, they get higher tickets because, you know, again, we're selling an experience. So us as men selling an experience to a female is not the same in our mindset as in their mindset. You know, they're going to be chit-chatty. They're going to, you know, chit-chat back and forth versus we're trying to be like, we're going to give you these C9 bulbs. We're going to use a soft wash system, and they don't care about that stuff. You know, they're going to talk about, you know, the baby and, you know, what's going on and the weather and all of that, and they're going to build a relationship that way that's way better than you talking about pressure washing, because at the end of the day, we're not real. Are we selling pressure washing?
No, we're in the customer service business. We just happen to pressure wash, is what you say.
That's exactly right. It's like you've listened to me a time or two.
Almost.
So let's talk a little bit. So you talked about networking and that kind of stuff and how you can grow it through that. And you've obviously gotten a little business. Have you done LinkedIn a lot or some? Or are you starting to get into it more?
LinkedIn, we've dabbled. I do post in there consistently, not as much as I want to yet, but I'm still focusing on Facebook and gradually getting into LinkedIn. I do Instagram also.
So
But
let's talk about
LinkedIn-
Facebook then, because that's something that a lot of people can use. Well, what are some things out there, or how are you posting on Facebook to be able to get jobs?
I'm just not being boring, because I mean, people, they see before and after pictures. They see it all the time. If you go on some of these pressure washing pages, it's before and after, before and after, before and after, before and after. No likes, no likes, no likes, because people really don't care about that. I mean, like the mind-blowing ones, they'll give you like a little reaction every once in a while. But people, Jason just opened with this whole thing. People love a story. They love your story. They can get your service anywhere else. If you're in Florida, they can go on the street corner and pick any sign and get their driveway done for $45 if they want. But they're not looking for that. They're looking for someone that they can relate to, but they're not going to know that they relate to you unless you're putting yourself out there, telling people who you are, telling people your why, telling people what drives you, being honest with people about, okay, I blew a hole in a hose today. I've got to go replace this. They want to see you troubleshooting. They want to see you struggling. People, on Facebook love to see people struggling. They want to see the struggle. They want something to cheer for, and they want something that they're going to be able to support. So when you're posting, that's what I just try to do. It's storytelling of our day-to-day life.
Now, are we posting like once a week, once a month?
No, it's a little more time consuming than that. I do 6 to 10 posts a day, alive.
6 to 10.
6 to 10.
Posts
I'll
a
look
day.
at my phone and I'll be like, it's 52 minutes since you asked me to post. I'm like, okay, I'll go back in a few more minutes, wait till it's hit an hour, and then try to make a post every hour during our work hours. If we're out of town doing training like this, I try to post a little more. On Sundays, I don't post as much because I'm trying to get back to taking back my time and spending that with my kids. So
Just in the training this morning, Jason was talking about some marketing and Facebook posts, and I went in the last 14 days just to check to see where we were at. In 14 days, we had, I think, 64 posts and 13 lives out of 14 days. And a couple of the questions we got from the group was like, how in the world do you do 13 lives? What did you even talk about? And half the time, I don't even know. A lot of times we'll just hop on while we're driving down the road on the way to a bid and just, what did we do today? People like reading that stuff. They like to hear just about you. It doesn't always have to be about the work. Not, you know what I mean? People, they're just interested in you, and you'd be surprised by how many people are watching your page. And once you get it going, because there's a lot of times we'll end up getting quotes and jobs out of Facebook, people that saw us, and I've never seen them like any of our posts, but they're following us on Facebook.
Well, a lot of that is back to when you're posting on Facebook and you're working that algorithm's going to start showing you to everybody because they know that people like to watch you, and you're starting to get likes and comments, and that Facebook knows that if you're on Facebook and you guys are there and people are staying longer on Facebook because of you, then they're going to keep showing you. And yes, you're going to get shown in different people, and some other things, like I was saying, ask questions. You don't have to ask questions about, but you can ask questions about what's your favorite restaurant in this area, or what is your favorite thing to do outside of whatever, outside at what park, or what's your favorite park, or any of those engaging questions. And again, the more you get it to getting people to respond to you, then the more likely it's going to come up there. And I taught this in my marketing. I do marketing Mondays, which probably tomorrow night might happen, or probably won't happen because we'll be driving back. But marketing Mondays, and I taught this in Facebook, and and I've been posting. I post 3-4 questions a week, 5 questions a week, and I'm getting posts on questions that are 2-3 weeks old. And that's like unheard of in Facebook land. Usually, if you're not posting, it's just gone within 2 or 3 days. Would you not agree with that stuff?
yeah, so just you have to interact. And I don't know what it is about people. They love to tell you what their band name will be based on their shirt color and what they ate last. It can be something as simple like that, just to get that conversation going and just to get the algorithm kind of moving.
And even if, it could be a daunting task to start your own Facebook page, and all right, I did 4 posts today and you get no responses because you have 0 followers, but just start hopping into your local groups around your area and do those posts. Make a post yourself where you're supporting other small businesses and follow each other. That sounds cheesy, but it's produced work for us because other companies start watching us and started getting to know us, and I've gotten a few jobs out of that just by her sharing stuff on our local groups. That everybody's got groups where you're at. I think we post in like 50 or 60 of them every other week or so. So I mean, that's a good way to kickstart your Facebook page to get that action rolling and get your friends and family involved with it too.
Yeah, I mean, we got a guy in our class today. He's part-time. He only works the weekends, and he don't even work both weekends. and he's already did over $50,000 this year, and his wife's in over 100 Facebook groups that she posts in all the groups, and you know, and their average ticket is $700. So you know, that's the important part of how you can use Facebook. You know, and I didn't mean this live to be all about Facebook, but you know, for learning's sake, it is a way to make business. Now, is it the only way to make business? Absolutely not. You know, that's kind of what I teach. There's lots of ways that we can get business. This is just one way to get business. And when you become really good at this way of business, or really good at getting business this way, then, you know, you don't have to spend no money in marketing. And when's the last time y'all spent some money in marketing?
I couldn't tell you. I bought signs probably 5-6 months ago and haven't put them out for the last 4 or 5 months, just because we're trying to just open other avenues for ourselves. Facebook's starting to get more successful. Now we're trying to push LinkedIn, like you recommended, because we're looking for more commercial work. But there's a million avenues. But like he said, get really good at 1 or 2. You know, you don't want to be 10% on 5 different things, and everything's halfway done.
Yeah, and it's a long game. Just because it doesn't work and you don't see results the first week doesn't mean it's not working.
Exactly.
Like, this is something.
What? I thought, Savannah, I thought it was just, I posted one time in the last month, and I thought that was supposed to work.
I know, very disappointing. But yeah, you really have to be patient, and don't get discouraged in your mind when you don't see the results that you want immediately, because it really is a long game, because it's all organic, and that does take a lot of time.
Same thing with Google My Business. I mean, like you preach, posting those photos and doing those updates and that stuff. It's not going to be a success overnight unless you dump a bunch of money into ads or something. But we haven't paid for our first Google ad, and we did 220. We're on track to do 220. We'll probably break that. We did 180 our first year. I never spent the first dime on Facebook ads or Google ads.
What? You did $180,000 and didn't spend any money on Facebook ads or Google ads? Mm-hmm. I'm not being, and I'm trying to get this point across, because sometimes people think that if I just dump all this money, it's just going to open up the floodgates and work's just going to fly in and that kind of thing. What are some things that you did to be able to get to that 180?
Hustled.
What street corner was you on?
Right? Well, I'm not going to give away my coordinates if some of you don't want showing up.
Okay.
No, it's you're giving your business card out to everyone you see. I know they say to give out 5 business cards a day is a good start. I try to do more than that if I can, because you never know whose hand that's going to fall into. I mean, it could go in the trash can, and that's probably more likely the case. But to me, business cards and speaking to someone and being able to tell them who I am and what I do within, a couple minutes has been it has more impact than a sign on a street corner for me. Like, just for me personally, that's what I found. I mean, it could be different for you. But just going in and talking to people.
And that's one thing I push is you never know what one business card is worth $200,000. You don't know what one yard sign is worth $200,000. You don't know what one LinkedIn post is worth $200,000. And you might say, Jason, there is no way. But there is a way. I got Benjamin Gregory, he's going to do within the next month over almost $200,000 in 1 month. That's impressive. He's doing a $56,000 roller coaster, and he's going to do a $175,000 big building. How did he do that? By posting on LinkedIn. And he built relationships, and you build those relationships. This wasn't something that he just did one post and it was done. No, he's being prolific. He does it 3 times a week. He's posting in these groups, or he's posting on LinkedIn 3 times a week. He's posting in Facebook 3-4 times a week. And it will escalate to better. Now, did he do when he first started? Did he get work? Absolutely not. But LinkedIn is one that is the networking group, and it's the networking and how you network, and that is what grows your business. Andrew was saying that he didn't really like talking to people when he first started this business. Now you like going to these networking groups, right? And that's the thing, I say the same thing. I didn't really like doing camera. I didn't like being on camera. Now I'm on it all the time, you know, and I've gotten better. And I can tell you I've gotten better because I can go back a year or two and tell you how bad I sucked. But you know what? I sucked and I kept it going and I got better. And it's like anything. You guys on Facebook, you do it, but you get better. You get better and better and better. And you know what? Don't ever think you're going to be perfect. Have you all ever been perfect?
No.
Because there's no such thing as perfect. You will always suck if you think you're going to be I got to wait till I'm perfect. Well, you're never going to be perfect. You got to take action. Talking about taking action, what are some things that you've done to help take action to get your business off to where it is?
Well, just kind of backing up, like, it's on the same subject here, but business cards, you never know where they're gonna end up. And like, we got a business card into the hands of an office, and it's probably produced us 150 grand from one account, from one customer. And a lot of people might call that luck, but guess what? We went out and did it. It's putting that effort in and flipping rocks, like you say. You know, it's a lot of luck comes with hard work. So it's not just a shot in the dark. You know, it's putting that effort in and getting out there. There's no one more accountable for your business succeeding than yourself. I've had days where I woke up when we first started where I was just like, what am I even gonna do today? Because I have no phone calls coming in. And then guess what? There's like 10 signs on the back of my Yukon that I was too lazy to go put out. Whose fault is that? That ain't the economy's fault, that's Andrew's fault. So there's always action to be taken. Like, if you're slow, if you have no work, blame yourself. In July, everybody was slow, I get that, but we kept pushing, we kept talking to anybody we could get in front of us, and it got to the point where work got overwhelming come August. I didn't know how we could fit it in a month, and then here we are taking on Christmas lights, you know what I mean? But it's pushed us to the point where we have to hire soon, and it's just take accountability. Don't be a sob story, you know. Look at yourself, look in the mirror. That's the person you can blame if you're not getting where you want to be.
So, getting on to the next one, because you brought it up, of hiring somebody. So, what are your thoughts? What are some of your things? What are some of your fears of hiring your next employee or your first employee?
For me, it's our reputation. I mean, this is our business. This is what we built up. We have standards, and we stick to those standards. And it's really terrifying. It is a very accurate word, to bring someone in that you don't know them, you don't know their work ethic, you don't know anything about them. You are going to be dependent on their resume. You're going to be dependent on these references, hoping they're real references. You know, hoping they're not going to screw something up, and it's just, and all of the logistics that are going to follow that. Because you think running your business, just the two of you or just yourself, is hard. You start bringing in other people, that pile goes from here to here, and your problems go from here to here as well. And I'm hyper aware of that, and it freaks me out. So.
And then my fear, I mean, obviously what she's saying is, it is our company, but I'm on the other side where I was that guy that worked for everybody else for years since I've been out of high school, and I want to be an employer that can take care of my people. So that big question mark in my head is, are we going to be able to get enough work to keep our first hire busy? You know, they're depending on me. They're depending on me to get out there and hustle and find work. So that's the big fear part, and that's where we're at. I mean, we're not over that hump yet, but we got to take that step if we want to keep moving forward, because the only thing holding us back from our business growing and getting larger is ourselves.
So this is probably one of the hardest things to do. The two hardest things to do is to go full time, and the next hardest thing is to get off the truck. and hire an employee, and not just an employee. We want to hire a technician. You know, we want that person to do just as well as us, or you know. But at the end of the day, you know, a lot of times we might think that, well, nobody can do it as good as I can do it. Well, there's two trains of thought. You know, sometimes you can hire somebody that can do it 10 times better than you are, because that's kind of what their calling is that they can, you know, do it way better than you. Or, you know, my train of thought was, is as long as they do it as 80% as good as I am, that's all I need. I don't need them to be 100% of me. I don't want them to be me at the end of the day, because I want me to be able to start growing in my position and start doing tasks that is worth more, you know. And so right now, as a technician, that's a $15, $20 an hour position, you know, and then we're not working on our $500 task, our $1,000 an hour task. And so, because we got to stay busy working on our $15 an hour task. So these are some things that we got to look at when we're doing it. And so, you know, sometimes people will try to hire, you know, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to hire a pressure washer or somebody that's good outside, but they got a sucky attitude. And, you know, if they got a sucky attitude, you are not going to change that sucky attitude. That's just going to happen, you know. And so this is where we have to find somebody that we can find of, you know, hey, you know, maybe they work at Chick-fil-A, or maybe you go to a restaurant and they're a rock star of a waitress or a waiter, and they, you know, they bust tail and they do, you know, they're one of the best ones out there. They have a great attitude. You know, I can teach somebody how to hold a gun and spray some water. You know, it's not real hard at the end of the day. You might think that it's hard, but at the end of the day, it's not that hard. But now you do need to find somebody that, you know, wants to work outside. I know I've talked to Nick Sick, and you know, the guy he hired, he was a doctor. He worked in a doctor's office, and he hated being inside all the time, and he wanted to go work outside. And so that's something that you got to find. The dude never pressure washed in his life. The dude never done anything mechanical in his life. So, you know, but we can train that. We can teach that. And so them are some things that we can do that help grow our business. And so with you guys, this is what I was talking with Andrew earlier today, is, you know, you're at this point that, you know, you're almost to the point that you could probably do a little bit more. You could probably get to about 300,000, 350, but then you're going to be at a cap limit. And then you come into the risk of what happens if you get hurt? What happens? It's the bus scenario. What happens if you get hit by a bus? You know, your business is pretty much done at that point. And so those are some things that you got to think about, that if you get hit by a bus and you have a couple of employees, now we're going to do it. Now, I also understand the fear of trying to make sure that we got enough money and we got enough stuff to make sure that we can work it through. So those are some things that will help you be able to get that employee. Them are the things that we can do to do some. And some things that we can do is you know, you set 2-3 months of salary aside, that if I never make another dollar, I got a month or two salary that I can pay this dude, or we can pay our bills that we can get through. So those are some things that we're looking at. And there's other things that you're going to have to overcome. Good old workers' comp and paying payroll taxes, which paying payroll taxes, the biggest thing I would tell you to do is get a payroll service. Because if you're going to go to jail, you're going to go to jail over taxes. And a lot of people go to jail because they don't pay payroll taxes. And that's one that will put you in jail. So it's best just to pay a payroll service. That way they take care of everything. They'll take care of your workers' comp a lot of time. They take care of your payroll taxes, the whole 9 yards. And yes, it's going to cost you a little bit, but it's the best in the end. So that way you don't have to worry about it. So with that, some of the fears that you're going to have to overcome is how am I going to know he's going to be good as I am? Well, that's where, you know, and I know you listened to Brandon Vaughn when we were at the Huge, but, you know, we got to start setting up systems. We do really need to have systems. You know, I put my checklist out there of, you know, the 26 steps to the perfect house wash. So that way it happens every time. You know, we're going to use company cams. So that way when they're taking their pictures and it's a system that works every time, no matter what. So that way when that employee comes there, they're able to do it right every time. And when we go out and do the job in front of our employee and we're teaching them, we have to follow the system. A lot of times we're wanting to take shortcuts ourselves, and what happens when we take shortcuts ourselves? Our employee is going to take another shortcut, and so now instead of setting the standard here, we put the standard here, and now they're here, and so that's not a good thing to do. So with that, when are you going to start hiring your first employee?
Our goal is to have help for starting for Christmas lights.
And
But like all the stuff you just said, you want a reality check. We went to the Huge, and it's easy to walk into an event like that or every day thinking you're the best guy in town. Like I can wash a house better than anybody. Until you get into the Huge convention and you're sitting in a room with 1,000 people that do what you do, who are 10 steps ahead of you. You're not the best at what you do. Someone out there is, but it ain't me. I thought I was. I'm not the best washer there is, and getting help it's like you can't worry about someone being better than you. That's just your own ego getting in your way. Because now I'm praying that we find someone better than me, you know. Because otherwise, what good is it? You know what I mean?
Yep, absolutely. You know, I went to one of the classes where Brian Haggerty was teaching about, you know, how they're gonna do same day service. Can you imagine doing same day service? You know, that's just impressive. But that's the rock star employees that they have, because it's not him, you know, he's got rock star employees that are willing to go out there. But now, you know, they take care of their rock star employees. They do breakfasts and they do, they take, you know, they go out and do dinners and they do all kinds of things, because again, it's about being a family at the end of the day. And when you build that family type relationship with your employees, a lot of times it's a lot better than trying to just be their employees, you know. And because people want to be wanted and people want to be, you know, to help you. So, you know, with that, I don't even know where we're at here. 42 minutes. Wow, that was a quick 42 minutes, wasn't it? So with that, what are some things, so obviously your goal is, I know what I was going to hit on is goals. How has setting goals and telling people about other things have helped you grow your business or even your relationship with each other?
I'm I don't want to disappoint people person. So my uncle is my best friend, and I tell him literally everything. And he's also the one person in the world that I don't want to let down, because he's my childhood hero. He's, you know, 101st Airborne, 2 Purple Hearts, and, you know, he's always been there for me. And I don't want to let him down more than anybody. And so when I have these goals that I set, he's the first person that I tell. It's like, hey, I'm scared, but this is my goal, because it gives me an extra incentive to push that. And I think it's easier to reach a goal when you have something pushing you to that goal. It's easy to make a goal and just, that's it. You know, it doesn't turn into anything. But when you have to be accountable, when you force yourself to be accountable for it, you're going to do whatever it takes to make it happen. You're going to do everything in your power to get as close to it, if not exceed it, as possible.
That was like this weekend. I mean, we're talking about pressure washing here, but like we were trying to decide on what we wanted to put into Christmas lights, because we were kind of, I don't know what we're gonna try and do. You know, we came with no goal really of how much work we want to do, and then we ended up dropping $5,000 on lights. You know, it's like, that sounds insane to me. I could put that money into our pressure washing side and stuff, but like by doing that, I'm like, that's the kick in the ass we need. We're gonna meet our goals, because if you don't, it's on us. We failed, and it's that motivation we gave ourselves. But another point with goals is now that we own our business, in the past, like, we would talk about what our dreams might be. Like, she's talked about years ago wanting to have her own boutique for clothing or something, and that might be something she might do one day. And now it's like we see an avenue to how to get there. In the past, it was nothing more than a dream. And now, like with our children, they'll tell us something, and in the past, it felt like we had a set reality expectations on our own children's dreams, because you're like, come on, you got to be realistic. But now it's the opposite. Like, yeah, you can do that. There's a great way to get that dream. But it's true. Like, I mean, my children will tell me what they want to do, and before my mindset was, well, I better pull them back. That they're
Dream killer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was.
And it's like not out of a bad place, but like
You don't want
simply
them to
did-
be disappointed.
yeah, we didn't know how to get them from where they were to where they want to be when they're older. But now, our 8-year-old just started her own hot chocolate business. Like, she's out there hustling. She'll be at a cash register and hand someone a business card. Like, she don't care. And she'll just walk up to someone in their school, won't even ask them to buy it. She's like, "You want hot chocolate?" They're like, "Yeah." She's like, "Okay, $5." And now they're obligated to give her $5 because they said yes. And it's like, if it was, 3-4 years ago when she wanted to do something like that, I'm like, maybe we should just like save your money for something else,
Or as a parent, sometimes you'd have to like change the subject, because we need to get off that subject. I don't want them to get down. But now it's like I'm pushing my children in that direction. Do something big. Those big, hairy, audacious goals.
That's something amazing, because honestly, this right here will set your kids on a path that they would have never been able to be set on. And it sucks that we are dream killers sometimes, because we have that poor mentality, or that mentality that you will never be good enough, to our own kids. And when we set that, it sucks. It just sucks. And so when we can free our minds and think that, did you ever think you could do 200,000 in 1 year?
That wasn't even a thought. No.
Did you ever think that you could do $200,000 in 1 year with the both of you together?
No, definitely not.
So when you have that dream that you can do it, and now you're given that chance that your kid can do it, that's what's amazing. Because and sometimes we have to tell our kids that, what? That's part of life sometimes. And things are hard even when you fail. But you know what? You don't have to be the dream killer of saying, well, you can't really do that, or we need to change the subject, right? So that's what is amazing, so that you can help your kids do things that they would never be able to do. I have a mother that is the negative Nelly even to this day. And it's like, I don't want to hear that. But yet I do it to my kids sometimes, and I catch myself, and that's where it's back to being positive, staying positive. I just did my slideshow, and I talk about this in there of being positive, thinking positive, staying positive. And number 4 is get away from negative people, because negative people will bring you down faster than anything. And it's sad when we as parents are the negative ones to our kids, versus now we can be the positive ones and help our kids do amazing things. What do you think, by you doing this to your kids, allowing them to do things, what are some things that they may want to do someday that you would have never dreamt or even thought of? And so these are some things that are amazing and awesome, and things that that is really cool at the end of the day. So if we got, it looks like we're about, 70 some people out here. If they're thinking about pressure washing, what are some positive things or encouraging words to, if somebody might be struggling right now? Maybe they lost their job, or maybe things just suck right now. What are some encouraging words for them?
If you have the will to make it work, like, I know Jason asked me before we got on here how comfortable I was sharing my story. And I think maybe now we can, because it's gonna fall into line with my point. So I've been in recovery for a couple years, and it hasn't been easy. I mean, I literally almost lost everything. I almost lost my kids. I almost lost my marriage. I was, at one point, I had a letter written out, and I had a gun sitting on the floor beside me crying, because I felt like I didn't have anywhere to turn. I felt like I didn't have any other options. And I say I felt like because that's what it was. That was my mentality, my woe is me, my beating myself down in my head. It wasn't anyone else. It was all me. There was no one else out there blaming my situation on me. It was all me, 100% me. And I was so caught up in my little pity party in my own little world that it took focus off of all of the positive in my life. So back to that positive mindset, So in that situation, like, there was just, I don't really know exactly what it was, but there was just some kind of flicker still in my mind that's like, no, you're stronger than this. You're not a quitter. You've never been a quitter. It's like, you got to prove yourself wrong. You don't have anyone else to prove wrong. I don't care. I've never cared what people thought about me. Like, I legitimately do not care. I've been a very strong individual in that way. But there was just something in my brain, like, I looked down at my letter and I'm like, is this really the last thing I want to tell my kids? And I looked down at the gun and then I'm like, okay, there's just something just went off of me, and I was like, okay, something has to change, and you're gonna make it change. So there is that. I think everyone has this natural fighting will inside of them. So if it doesn't matter how desperate you are, it doesn't matter if you quit your job yesterday, or if your employment's about to run out tomorrow and you don't have a rig yet, go to Home Depot, get something that you can afford. Work for it, pay that equipment off, and reinvest that money and get something else. There is a way to make it work. It doesn't matter what anyone else says. It doesn't matter that there's competition out there. If you have that fire, and if you have that fire inside you, no one is going to dim that but you. And so if you succeed, that's on you, and that's something to be extremely proud of. If you tried your hardest and you didn't get to where you wanted to be, that's all right, because you did that. You got yourself from here to here. So that was my encouragement.
Well, good thing you got us all crying.
I know.
We've kind of learned from this journey to invest in ourselves. For her, for me. That'd be my piece of advice for anyone struggling with starting your own business is, don't worry about investing in someone else's business. Invest in yourself and make yourself better. Like the thing she's talking about, for instance, Greg Townsend, he's got an amazing story that comes from recovery and stuff like that. And he's like, he's a peer, but he's like a mentor too, just her story, his story. A lot of people in that can look down on themselves and be ashamed of it, but the truth is it's a shining light. Like, her story is helping other people. Greg's story can have some dark places, but it's helping other people to pick themselves up and have something to strive for, and to just get out of that mindset of negativity and self-doubt. Self-doubt kills every one of us. I know how that is as a business owner, and just like hearing her come over and just say this stuff out loud is like unbelievable how much she's grown for herself. This is stuff that she had a hard time telling me 2 years ago, and here we are talking to 80 strangers. That's growth because she invested in herself. So
Yep, I don't know what to say to that. So I asked her beforehand. She's like, nope. I'm like, all right, I'm fine with that. then you get me on here and get me crying. Got me over here crying too. You know, it is awesome, you know, and you are a shining light, you know, and that's the thing that you are worth. Your worth is way more than you will ever, you know, you can help people, and, you know, that's my goal. My goal is to help people, you know, get to where you guys can be successful and get you guys to where you can help other people. And that's more important. You know, yes, it's good that we make money and you're at $220,000, and yes, that's good, but how much better is it that you can help other individuals that are struggling with this same thing, you know? And it don't even have to be drugs. It might be, you know, you lost your job and you lost your wife and you lost your kids, and, you know, or you've had a death or something in those lines that, you know, it is worth it at the end. It is worth it at the end. And when you can be encouraging, and you might just be that one person that could, you know, pick somebody up and help them up, you know. Yes, they're in a bad position, but you can pick them up and help them up and get them on the right road, and you can come arm to arm with each other and help them as they're down their road or they're a little bit of a struggle, or they're a little bit of a speed bump or something along the ways.
Just like we're talking about doing the little things to work the process of keeping yourself, you know, doing those little things, doing those Facebook Lives and stuff like that. May not seem important, you know, doing those little tasks, but like I can just point at Jason, for instance. We found him on YouTube. Nobody told me about pressure wash. I found him on YouTube trying to find out a better way to wash a house for painting. But guess what? If I would have never found a video that you probably didn't want to post that day, I just happened to come across it. But what if you didn't post it that day and I wouldn't have found it? We wouldn't be here today. We wouldn't have grown to where we are. Like, I'm not even talking about business-wise. I'm talking about in our personal lives. Just because he did those little tasks, and those little tasks can change someone else's life, because it did for us. So, yep.
Awesome. Well,
It was our TED Talk.
yeah, that's our TED Talk. You know, all I asked was for some words of encouragement. I don't know why she had to go so deep there, because I know why. Somebody on the other side here needed to listen to this and needed to hear this. And that is the most important thing. And you know, this is why I love helping people. I love helping people. You know, we had several people here that I've helped change their lives, you know. H2O Improvement, we had him in here. I'll have a video coming up of just me and him talking. And like I said, we had another guy that, you know, he's trying to quit his full-time job. And, you know, that's the amazing thing about when we can help each other and raise people up and do the things that you are designed to do at the end of the day. Again, if you want to check out pressurewashhelp.com/free, you can get 30 days free. Other than that, any words? Don't go so deep on me this time. Any words of encouragement as we're getting off here?
Don't quit, and don't let your competitors in your headspace, but also don't worry about your competitors. If we help each other, we all grow together. It's pretty simple.
What was your statement? Don't look at their
Watch
bobber.
your own bobber.
Watch your own bobber.
Watch your own bobber.
And if you ever want to check us out, we're at P&P Exterior. That's our company name, and people like to follow our Facebook. I'm not saying that to plug ourselves or nothing, because half of you probably aren't even in the same state, but it's a good way to pick up on a lot of the marketing Savannah does with our Facebook page.
So go check out their Facebook. Go check them out on Facebook. If you want to message them, I'm sure they will answer you back, especially if you're struggling in any way that she can help you, or anybody that's struggling. Again, that is something that, you know, I want to help you. We can help you. If I can, you know, I don't know that situation, but I can help you in any way. And Savannah will, and Andrew will do the same. You know, I know it can be tough sometimes, but you can do it. You know, again, take action, because if you don't take action, what's going to happen? Nothing.
I'm sorry we didn't answer questions tonight. We're on the cell phone, and everything's really tiny, so we can't really read them from this far away.
Yeah. So see you all later, and thank you for coming on. Bye. Bye, Natalie.